Hotline League is brought to you by Omen by HP.
Is it Zafar or Zafar?
Zafar.
Zafar. Okay. You got a great voice. Yeah, it's neither of the things that I said. Where are you calling from, Zafar? Is it Zafar?
I'm from Calgary, Canada.
Calgary, Canada. Okay. Thought it was I was expecting another crazy place, but it's just Canada, which is pretty whatever. Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show tonight, Zafar?
My topic is I've been a TSM fan since I started watching in season 3, and I think that without Regi kind of stepping in and helping the team out, that they won't make Worlds this year.
Okay.
I think it's not like a correlation thing. I think it's a causation.
It's a causation. Can you elaborate?
It's not just a coincidence that like every season that like they've gone to finals, gone to Worlds, like Reggie's kind of been involved at some point or another. And it's not just like he was there and they happened to go and both things just happened and it's just correlation. I think it's like there's an effect there that he had and has.
Zafar, do you think, like, I don't know what the current fan sentiment is amongst TSM fans, but for a while the pendulum was like, man, fucking Regi steps on everyone's toes every time he comes in to help. Has it swung back the other way where it's like, God damn, we need Regi? Or like, where do you think the more general opinion is?
I mean, I don't like follow social media too much and stuff like that, so I don't know where other people's sentiment is. I kind of was on both sides. Like I could see how like it could be an issue where, you know, you have a coach and he just comes in and steps on their toes and just like takes over and not emasculates, but like, you know, just it's clear they're not working and he kind of just takes over, and that doesn't look good for the coach. And like that's not an effective long-term solution. I think if I don't know if his personality is fit for that, but if there's more of a relationship with the coach and they're working together, that it's a better thing. So I think it's helpful that he's there, as long as he's not just taking over and kind of shitting on the other coaches.
I'm very interested in this because so many people, as Mark said, like people swing back and forth on this. It's like either Regi is like he needs to get out of the way, and like they look at his involvement in some like TSM Legends episode and they're like, why is he talking to them that way? But it is kind of true that it feels like it does feel like Regi is potentially. By the way, he's at LCS like I think every week, and I see him all the time. He comes up to me and asks me to put my credit card down for his bird because his credit card isn't working for the bird scooter. But it is interesting because it does feel like he's more detached, and I wonder about it. It's funny. This is the first time like TSM has been kind of whatever this split, and I feel like this is our first TSM caller we've had this entire split. Mark, am I wrong in that?
No, I think we were talking about it at Riot. Like next week is C9 TSM, and like I don't know if anyone like people have ever cared less
about a C9
that
TSM. Yeah.
Definitely. Do you think TSM, like you scrim them, you see a lot more? I assume you shouldn't scrim them. I shouldn't just say you do. If you scrim them, do you feel like they're playing like not good enough to make it to Worlds? Like, are they better in scrims than they are on stage? Like, what's your read on TSM's level?
Well, we haven't scrimmed them that much since they're like pretty elitist with their scrims. But the times.
Ooh, wait, hang on. Let's pause.
You can't glaze over that.
They're elitist with their scrims.
Yeah, more or less. But
so you think you think they? What? It's like the Team Liquid, and the problem is who can be elitist in this environment? Who are the good teams?
Honestly, I'm not sure. But what I was saying was
okay. Sure, let's move on.
Yeah, let's just move on from that. But I think TSM as a team is a really strong team. Like their players are all really individually good, and like when we play against them, it's really hard to like make plays against them rather than like other teams. So I don't really know what's going on with them. I definitely think they're like one of the best teams in our region, though.
But I think that's the thing is that it's like they are really good, and like everyone talks about it. I think there's an Invent interview with Bjerg where he said that he makes someone was talking about Bjerg, another mid laner, saying that he's hard to play against because he doesn't make mistakes and he doesn't give you opportunities, but they're not being proactive. Like I think Kelsey Moser would talk about every time over the years, TSM always focuses on invading blue buff. And I think that's like a Reggie thing. Like he wants them to be aggressive. He wants them to invade blue and do these fundamental basic things to progress the game and be aggressive. Like I think on the last episode of TSM Legends, at the end of it, Parth was telling them that they're just talking about things they can do, and then no one says, all right, well, let's do it. And then they just don't do anything and just talk about what they can do the whole time. And so I think that step of just being aggressive and going in and making calls, like Double was good at that, is what lets them, because of the players they can attract and the skill level those players have, to get to Worlds. And then past that, I don't think Reggie can help, which is why like those fundamentals don't matter anymore at Worlds level, which is why they don't progress. But I think to even get to Worlds, you need that step.
Sorry, I've been thinking about this while you were suggesting that, because it's easy to say, well, Reggie's not here, that's the problem.
Right.
But is there, like, Mark, do you think there's a potential? Because I think year over year, Soren had, like, the gap has closed between other mid laners and Soren. And I wonder if that's not the case across the league, where TSM, it's just not as dominant as they were before because the rest of the league is kind of caught up to them.
I mean, if you look at season 4, arguably the top 4 mid laners were Bjerg, Xiao Zhao, Link, and then Voyboy or Shifter. And like Pobelter was like 7th around that time. Pobelter's gotten a lot better since then, but like, yeah, I think it's very fair to say that like Febby, PoE, Jensen, and like the other guys who have like moved into the scene have really closed the gap that like old Bjergsen used to like destroy kids. Like it's not that skill difference anymore. And I don't think it's just Reggie. I think if you look at how TSM's bot lane played on G2, they were like not the playmakers. It was more like Perks and Trick and stuff. And then like Mike Young was supposed to be the aggressive guy. That didn't work out. Bjerg's always been a more like efficiency focused player. He's not Mickey, right? Like he's definitely not like running around forcing shit all the time. And so like you're left with like, who is the guy on that team that like is a natural like fighter and scrapper and like I want to do things kind of guy. And I think that's more the problem than Reggie.
Yeah, that's the reason I say this to our dear caller whose name I'm bringing up right now, Zafar. Is it Zafar? Did I say it right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
That implies I'm not saying it right.
No, you did say it right.
Okay, thank God. The reason I bring up this other thing isn't to kind of shit on TSM or say that. It's more like I just don't know if Reggie can solve their problems anymore, right? Like in the past, they have had these very dominant players and that were like way above the rest of the league in a lot of cases. They don't have that anymore. And I don't know if Andy's going to change that. And that doesn't mean that they don't have best in class players in every role, but it does mean that like there are probably some other teams that have pretty goddamn good players in their roles. Especially like looking at Equifax, Huni was really good until Mark and Scara said he was number 1 in the league, and now he's not. So I mean, I'm not sure if there's any correlation there, but my point is like it does seem like there's a lot of other contenders now for best in class rosters.
Definitely. Should we never rate you high? Just make sure that never happens.
I'd like it if you guys could rate me high. I saw your drunk stream.
Where did they rate you?
What did we put you at? Do you know?
Actually, I checked it today. I think I was at 81.67 or something like that.
That's it? Oh,
yeah,
God.
I'm a role player according to the...
Oh, really?
No,
Did you check that? Did you check that after Hunter asked you to come on the show? Were you like, let me remember what Mark was saying about me again?
Yeah, I need some ammunition. So
yeah.
Hopefully by next split I'll be in the 90s or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's the joy of every pro player to try to climb up higher. And Mark and Scara's drunken rambling. We're losing your face, by the way, Mark.
Sorry, I was looking up the ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably a little low.
It's okay.
You're drunk.
Okay, so I don't know. Zafar, do you feel like that could be the case? That is it's still in your mind? Is it Reggie's got to pop in or else we're doomed? Or is it I think it's just that the team needs to figure out stuff more holistically. I don't think it's time for Andy to save the day.
I do agree that like obviously the gap between players is closed, more so, especially in the mid lane. But I think he could help. I even if they don't have aggressive players, I think him pushing them to do those things and be more aggressive, I think that he really did have an impact in previous seasons. Yeah. But it might not just be a one fixed solution with just him coming in.
Yeah. Very good. Well, hey, thank you so much, Zafar, for the call.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, shout out to Omen by HP.
Hey, there we go. Thanks, man.
HP by Omen, maybe?
No.
He's
gone. I got rid of him.
It's kind of sad that like I messed it up more than their callers do.
Yeah, well, it's just that's the value you bring to the show. Dark Zombie 13 resubbed. Brundon Funny.